Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have a special video not talking about books. Today I'm going to talk about my experience at Galaxy's Edge. I am a huge Star Wars fan, as fans of the channel will know, and I love reading the Star Wars books, and I ended up going to Universal and Disney this last weekend to attend a marching band event, and then we stayed 2 days at Universal, 1 day at Disney, and the 1 day we had at Disney was at Hollywood Studios, which is where Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars theme park, is. And so I took a lot of pictures, which I'll sprinkle through in this video, and I did a lot of things to get the full Galaxy's Edge experience. And I have quite a lot of good to talk about. I have quite a lot of bad to talk about too, but I had a blast there. And so I'm going to go through this video. I have some notes I'm going to be looking at to refer to because there's a lot to cover. So the first thing I'll say is that the immersion in Galaxy's Edge is really well done. Everything from the cast to the visuals to the items in the park. Everything is absolutely well immersed. You feel like you are in Star Wars. And I think that is one thing that, they absolutely nailed, was the general immersion. You went up to someone in the morning or even during the afternoon. If you said hello, they would say bright suns, which is the Batuu greeting. Batuu, the planet that you see in that you're on in the park. And so, they say bright suns every time, which was just a great detail, just a minor detail. Or if you asked about something, let's say when I asked to go to the bathroom, I asked where the refresher is, which if you're a Star Wars reader, you know that they don't call it the bathroom, they call it the refresher. And so I asked, where's the refresher? And they knew exactly what I meant when I said that. And so there's just this element of the park being very accurate and lived in that I appreciated. There were a few things that a couple of the cast members would say that I was like, that's not in universe. But generally, they did a very good job of making it feel in universe. Also, when you entered the park, especially from the direction, if you're near Star Tours, you know where that is in the park. That's the side I entered for the first time, and you go through a tunnel to kind of get there. And when you emerge from the outside of the tunnel, you see buildings, and you see the trees, and you see an X-wing, and you just see the visuals of Galaxy's Edge. And by the way, I was at the one in Orlando, and if I said Hollywood Studios, yeah, and in Orlando, and which I think they call Batuu East. Anyway, when you emerge from the tunnel, it feels like you're transported. And I think putting the tunnel there was an excellent choice from the design perspective. Also, what was nice about it, at least I went on President's Day, which it wasn't terribly crowded. There were a lot of people there, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's empty. There are a ton of people there, but it never felt crowded. If you wanted to get a picture with the Millennium Falcon, you always had an opportunity. It's not like you had to wait in some crazy line just to get a picture there. Or if you wanted to watch something with Kylo Ren, you could. Or if you wanted to go and just see the different spaces, like you could walk through the crowd. You didn't feel like you were having to just wade through just a mosh of people. And maybe it's because Galaxy's Edge has been there for 6 years at this point, 5.5 years at this point, but it was still not terribly crowded, but still busy, which I appreciated. That's exactly what I'd want in the park. Busy, but not crowded. Also, if you paid for something, they did not say that'll be $27. They said that'll be 27 credits. And I was like, it's very, very, very good. I really appreciated that. When you asked to go to a certain place, they'd be like, oh yeah, that Savi scrapyard or over there or something, which was just really cool touches. Now, a statement on the element of being sequel themed. I know a lot of people don't like that Galaxy's Edge is sequel themed. I would say a couple of things. One is, when you're designing a park like this, you want it to be reflecting what's currently happening to try to promote the modern current stuff. And so the sequel era is like the most more current era. And so I understand why they chose that. I think it's certainly not the most popular era. The original trilogy era is the more popular era, or even the prequel trilogy era is more popular. But it made sense why they made it sequel themed, and you know what? It absolutely worked. Everything felt like it felt the story matched of the sequel era. The one thing that took me out of it in universe is that Din Djarin is there, and he's walking around, and him and Grogu, and you can meet them and take pictures. Which of course, he's so popular, and Grogu's so popular. Of course, you're gonna go and see them. So from that element of it, that was one thing where they're like, we have to include something else non-sequel themed. But it was cool to see Din Djarin and Grogu. In fact, I got to meet them. But still, it was a little weird. But I did, it worked for sequel themed. And even if you're not a huge fan of the sequel movies, I still think you'll appreciate the park because it's just so well done. Talking about visuals, talking about going to see the Falcon for the first time. This isn't the first thing I did when I entered the park. I went and did Rise of the Resistance first because we did Rope Drop and we wanted to get there right away. But when we saw my friend and I, my friend Nathan, who's actually he does the Two Sons of Tatooine podcast with me. He's the band director. I'm the assistant, and we went together with our group. And when we saw the Millennium Falcon, there was just a special moment of awe. This special moment of, oh my goodness, we're looking at the Millennium Falcon, and it's real, and it's huge. And the hangar behind it with the big spire was just gorgeous, and it just was, I got goosebumps. And it just, it encouraged that kind of sense of wonder. Like, I really wish they had been playing the theme from Solo when Han Solo first sees the Falcon, because that's what it felt like, seeing the Falcon for the first time. So let me talk for a moment about what was my favorite experience at the park. My favorite experience at the park, by far, was getting to meet Vi Marathi. And before I get to that, I'll say that the first thing after we did Rise of Resistance was, and I will talk about the rides in a moment, was to kind of briefly go through the market, which was a lot smaller than I anticipated. The whole park is a lot smaller than you'd expect, but I mean it's big. Like they make it look big, but in reality, in terms of size, it's not that big. In terms of the layout. But that being said, I went through the market and I saw a bunch of dolls. They had a Black Chrysanthemum doll. They had Chewbacca dolls. They had Imperial Stormtrooper dolls. They had Kylo Ren doll. They had BB-8 type stuff, and one of the things they had was a Vi Marathi doll. And I am, of course, a big book fan. Like books to me are like the number one thing for any fandom. And so I, of course, have read the novel Black Spire, which is set on Batuu, set in the location of the park, in universe that is, and it features the character Vi Marathi, and so I'm a huge fan. And I loved that book, and I loved Delilah Dawson's writing. And so I saw this, and I knew that Vi Marathi was in the park because of, I've done a little research. And so I went and got the doll, which is only about $25, which, I didn't spend any money buying merchandise at Universal with like the Harry Potter stuff, because I was like, I'm going to buy the Star Wars stuff. And so I got the doll because I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I meet Vi Marathi holding the doll? And I just thought that was kind of cool. And so we kept walking around doing some stuff, and then we walked to the Imperial, I think at the TIE Interceptor, whatever it's called. They use it as a set for some like scenes, some acting, stuff like that. And when I walked up to it was right at the moment that some stormtroopers were leaving the set, and Vi Marathi walked onto it. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And so I was like, I gotta get a picture with her. And because Vi's not like a recognizable character, because it's not like, Rey or Kylo Ren or Chewbacca, who are also in the park, it's because she's not, a movie or TV show character, or even Din Djarin, people just don't know her. They recognize that she was, a character and that she's a resistance character by her garb, but they just didn't recognize her. So not many people were flocking to her, not really anyone. I did see some kids get pictures with her, but people just weren't flocking to her. So I was like, I'm going to go talk to her. And so my friend took the pictures, my friend Nathan took the pictures, and I got a picture with Vi holding the doll, which was so cool. I got several pictures with her, and we ended up talking in universe, and I talked to her about the book Black Spire, and I was like, oh my goodness, what happened to Cardinal? And she said, oh, well, he's really missed. His memory's going to live on, but we really miss him. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I said, what, you planning to do anything to honor him? She said, oh, we're going to make a statue in his honor. And I said, what are you going to make the statue out of? And she said, probably gold. I was like, oh, that fits. I said, will you have any chrome? And she said, I don't think that he would like that. He wouldn't like anything reminding him of Phasma. And it was such a great, dialogue that I had with the actress playing Vi Moradi. And it's obvious in our discussion she had read the book Black Spire, probably even Phasma, to be honest. But she had at least read Black Spire. So that was really cool. That it was so immersive, and as a book fan, seeing my book characters jump to real life was just delightful. I wish I could have gotten like a Thrawn toy. I would have done that. They didn't have any. They had Cad Bane, but I was like, it doesn't count. So, which I love Cad Bane, but they didn't have Thrawn. So the only like toy like that I got was Vi, which I'll talk about all my stuff that I purchased in a moment. So that was, and that was they were so accommodating. We were standing in one area, and then when we went to take the picture, Vi was like, hey, why don't we walk over here? We'll get the ship behind us. It's in much better image. And that was just really nice of her. She could have just taken the picture there and been done with us, but she kept it going, which was really cool. The Imperial and Resistance ships just looked spectacular. It was just so cool seeing an X-Wing in real life, seeing an interceptor in real life, seeing the transports when you're in line. I didn't get pictures when I was in line of all the resistance transports and the Imperial transports that you see when you're in the lines for the Rise of Resistance and Smugglers Run stuff, but it was still really cool. And let's talk about the rides now. So there are two main rides in the park. You have the Rise of Resistance ride and the Smuggler's Run ride, which is the Falcon ride. And the Rise of Resistance ride is way more popular and crowded than the Smuggler's Run ride, which is actually honestly very surprising to me, because the Smuggler's Run ride, it's the Falcon, it's the Millennium Falcon, it's interactive, whereas the Millennium Falcon you actually pilot it and shoot and like control it, and it's like an interactive thing, whereas the Rise of Resistance, you're just sitting in the thing watching everything happen. But the Rise of Resistance was way more popular, and I'm gonna let everyone in on a little secret. Right now, they've been beta testing for both the single rider system, where you have the standby line, you have the lightning lane line that you have to pay for. The standby line is for anyone if you have a group or whatever you want to sit together. But then you have the single rider, which is where like if you have like two people go in the single rider line that are like friends, like me and Nathan would go in the single rider, they would send one of us on this one and one of us there, and they'd split us up and stuff. And it, made it so much faster. The Rise of the Resistance standby line was like an hour and a half, sometimes even a 2-hour wait. The single rider line was a 10-minute wait at most. Sometimes it was closer to 5. And so it was just so much faster, and we were able to do so much more in the park. And, sometimes you go to experience it with your family. So if you're going with a family and you have little kids and you have to go together, yeah, I understand you have to go in the standby line. But if you're going as like a couple, and it's like you guys are willing to go separately on rides, you'll go on the rides much faster, and you can spend more time doing other things and instead of just waiting in a line for forever. So do the single rider, because for both Smuggler's Run and Rise of Resistance, it cut it from an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours even, down to only 10 minutes or less. So that was really cool. The Rise of Resistance ride is such, and first of all, the visuals as you're walking through, and you see the rows of stormtroopers on one side, and you see just what the inside of Starship looks like, and it felt like I was leaping off of the set of Rise of Skywalker, which isn't my favorite movie, but it was so cool to like be on that set type thing. And very similar to how like when you're in Harry Potter in Diagon Alley, Diagon Alley just feels like you're leaping off of this movie set. That's what like being in the hangar was like. It was like, oh my goodness, I'm in the middle of the set of Rise of Skywalker. And the ride itself was really cool because like you're standing and you're watching some things, and then they kind of shake the room a little bit and make it seem like Kylo's using the Force on you, and Armitage Hux is kind of interrogating you, and then the door looks like it's being cut open when in reality it's not. It's just, effects. But it looked like it was cut open. And the door opens up and the Resistance is like, we're going to come get you. And you get in these cars and you start driving around, and all of a sudden all heck breaks loose. And it was just so much fun getting to feel the interaction and getting to feel like the explosions and see the battle and the story happen. And it was a really, really fun ride. And the drops, everything in that ride was super well done. I also thought, and I ended up doing that ride twice throughout the day, I also thought that the Smuggler's Run ride was just so well done. The wait line was pretty cool. But when you get in, and it looks like you're on the Falcon. Like everything, the details were immaculately done. You feel like you're on the Millennium Falcon. And then when you get in the cockpit, if you're in the front two rows, you're the pilots. If you're in the middle rows, you're the gunner. And if you're in the back row, you're the engineer. And the first time I rode an engineer, the second time I rode as a gunner. Never got to be a pilot, but if you do single rider, you're not going to get to be a pilot. That's just kind of the way it works. So be prepared for that. If you do single rider, you won't get to be the pilot. But, it's a fun ride, and I did the ride twice, and it's just so fun getting to pilot the ship, and the effects were great. The way that, it felt like things were shooting at you was great. If you crashed the ship, you kind of felt like a jolt. Everything on that ride was, again, just so well done. But riding rides wasn't the only thing about the park that was cool. We also got to do the lightsaber building experience at Savi's. I did not build a lightsaber myself, but my friend Nathan did, and I watched. And it was so cool. The actor who was playing the Jedi who's helping you build your lightsaber was like the best actor of the whole day. He was so in character. He was so humorous, so fun in the way that he was delivering everything. He had subtle references and nods and jokes, and when you make a joke back to him, he had like a clever retort. And so it was in universe, and it was just really a great experience. It's about a 15-minute, once you get in, because you have to sign up ahead of time because the slots fill up. But once you get in, it's about a 15-minute experience getting to build the lightsaber, and it was just so fantastically done. And the lightsabers were really cool to see, and when they go dark and they open it up and you see the lightsaber blade for the first time, and there's something magical about it, and that was so much fun to see. I also went to go to some of the places to eat. Now, I did go to Docking Bay 7, which is basically a restaurant. And Docking Bay 7 has a lot of different types of food, and I ended up getting the Felucian falafel. And the Felucian falafel tasted amazing, but it also looked great. It looked like it was this otherworldly type food because it was like pink hummus, and the meatballs had like a purple drizzle on them, and so it looked like it was something that not from our world instead. But it was delightful to go eat there. And I loved that Felucian falafel. And I used to have like a Mediterranean place in college that I used to eat at all the time, and just eating that Felucian falafel just brought me back to college. It was great. I do have to talk about one negative experience, and that was at Oga's Cantina. Oga's Cantina is where you can get drinks, and I do not drink alcohol. I am a complete teetotaler, have been my whole life, and but they have non-alcoholic drinks there, and so we got a reservation, and it's a long wait to get in. And once you get into Oga's Cantina, it was standing room only. They don't really have a lot of booths. They have a few in there, but it was pretty much just standing room only. So we're standing at this counter to get our drinks. And when we went to get our drinks, I ordered the Bantha Blue. I think it was the Bantha Milk or Bantha Blue Milk, whatever it was called. And it said it was made with milk, and it was made with coconut, and it was made with a few other ingredients. And I was like, okay, I know what this is gonna taste like. I don't love coconut tasting stuff, but you know what? That's the closest thing that's non-alcoholic that I'll try. And I get that, and it tasted fruity. It tasted like a mango juice. And I was like, I asked the bartender, I was like, are you sure this is the right thing? He said, oh yeah. And I was like, all right, well, this is what I ordered, so I drank it all. I did not care for it. I like mango tasting drinks sometimes, but I wanted blue milk, and that's not what I thought blue milk was. I know that they just sell regular blue milk somewhere else. Maybe I need to try that next time. But the blue Bantha stuff, not a fan of. Also, just the whole experience at Oga's felt very just not great. It didn't feel like it was worth the time or the money, because it was a long wait to get in there. Then once you get in, it's standing room only. Then once you get your drink, you just it wasn't a good drink. The bartender was a little bit smug, so that wasn't great. So anyway, the Oga's Cantina, I could take or leave that. I did not get to have a Ronto wrap, unfortunately, just because we were kind of pressed for time. Didn't get to do that. Doc Ondar's was really cool because, again, that's from the book. And it was also cool to see all the merchandise in there. It was very, very well designed and stuff. As was, of course, I said, the market was very cool. I was so disappointed, though, that there were no Galaxy's Edge books for sale. I thought, well, it's at Galaxy's Edge. Certainly they have the Myths and Fables Galaxy's Edge edition. Nope, didn't have that. I thought maybe they have a special edition of Black Spire, the book set in the park. Nope, they don't have that either. They did not have any books whatsoever in Hollywood Studios for Star Wars. Just none. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You need to step up your game. Get some books in there. I ended up buying some non-book related merchandise because I couldn't buy any books. But come on, Disney. Come on. That was a mistake. The Droid Emporium there was also really cool. You can build a droid for $100. I did not build a droid, but it looked so cool. It was cool. You got to see the conveyor belt go across with all the droids. You got to see the people building them. You got to see the ones that were on sale. They even had the one-eyed technicians from episode 1. That was really cool to see them. The Imperial store was also very cool. Had some cool Imperial merchandise. We also went to the launch bay, which I've been to the launch bay twice before. The last time I went to Disney was in 2018, and they had the launch bay then. And I also went in 2015, so I'd been twice before. And the launch bay used to have so much more, and it's just stripped bare now. There's barely anything in there, and that was really disappointing that the launch bay was so bare bones now. We did get to meet Darth Vader, which was cool. To me, wasn't worth the wait, but it was cool to meet Darth Vader. We also, at one point, my friend and I got separated. He went to go do something, I went to do something, and I had extra time on my hands, and I went to do Star Tours. And this was so cool. I've done Star Tours a bunch of times, but they have so many seats and so many bays. I think they have 7 or 8 bays for Star Tours, and each bay has 40 people in it, whatever. And so it's huge. And so they can put a lot of people on the ride at once. And so even though there was a huge line, it went through the line super quick. And I thought that it was so nice. Like they didn't have a single rider for that, but it didn't matter. It didn't need a single rider because it just went through the line so fast. And our Star Tours ride went through both Kashyyyk and Cetos, which is the planet in Ahsoka where the Purrgil are, and you get to go inside a Purrgil's mouth and out of it, and you get to see Ahsoka fighting some bad guys, and that was also a great ride. Star Tours always delivers, and that's really fun. And if you feel kind of claustrophobic in the park, in the Galaxy's Edge area, Star Tours is right outside it, which makes sense that it wouldn't be in the park. What else can I talk about? Let's talk about what did I purchase. The first thing is I don't have it on me because I took it to school because it's something that I put on my desk at school, and that is a bust of Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious. It is a tiny little bust about that size of my hand, and it was $25. And it was really cool because I can use it as both a paperweight and also kind of to scare kids. And I have high schoolers; they're not really scared by it. And I love the character of Emperor Palpatine so much. So that was really fun to get. I also purchased this Mythosaur mug, which is a great souvenir. It feels great in the hand. The way that the grooves and stuff work here, it's so textured and layered. It feels so good in the hand. You could even use the tusks here as kind of a little bit of a handle when you're drinking, but also it feels so good in your hand when you're drinking. So I love this mug already, and it has a cool design on the back that I liked. Of course, I mentioned that I got the Vimerati toy. I also purchased the Chance Cubes, which were only about $10, and I'm going to use these for D&D. And I talked to my DM, and he was like, "Sure, we can use them." So I'm super excited to use these Chance Cubes. And then the last thing I got was, of course I had to get this, was the Diet Coke that they had in the park, which looks very in-universe. If you look at the other side, it's got the English and the drug facts and stuff they're required to have. But you look at it from this angle, it looks like this otherworldly Star Wars drink, and I love that. And I'm a huge Diet Coke drinker. I think I could rival the most famous Diet Coke drinkers like Donald Trump. I think I probably drink more than him of Diet Coke. Anyway. And so I got this bottle. I wanted to get one of regular Coke and Sprite. I just never got to it. Maybe next time. But this was so cool. It's a great souvenir, and it seals really well. I had a full thing of it, and I put it in my bag, even after I'd opened it and resealed it, and it did not spill at all. I was very surprised. And so this was a great souvenir. It was this was the price that you would pay for a regular soda. And, you can tell, compare it to a regular Diet Coke. You can tell it's got the coloration that a Diet Coke has. So when you saw the regular Coke was the red and white, and you saw the kind of the gray versus red for Diet Coke, and then for Sprite it was green. So you knew what it was and stuff. And so I thought it was great, and it was the price you would pay for a regular drink. Just about if you wanted to just went anywhere else in the park and just asked them to buy just a Diet Coke. This is about what you would pay, about what the size of one you'd get, and yet this one is a souvenir. So that was really cool. So that is all the stuff that I purchased. By the way, if you stay till nighttime, you can get pictures with the Falcon at night, which was really cool. And also, on the Millennium Falcon, if you look underneath the cockpit, you will see a mini Millennium Falcon. It's kind of like how the Millennium Falcon is stuck on the Star Destroyer in Episode 5. The little tiny Millennium Falcon is stuck on the regular Millennium Falcon. And it was delightful to find that. Cool thing. I think that's all my notes. So that was my experience at Galaxy's Edge. Some bad stuff. I got sick while I was there, so that wasn't great that I was sick, but it was still cool to be there. Learned the tips of doing the single rider stuff for the Smuggler's Run and the Rise of Resistance. If you have been to Galaxy's Edge, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.